When you start your holiday trip, there's a few safety tips that you need to remember. The first is to keep your engine in good running condition. Make sure that all the engine fluids are full, your oil, your antifreeze, and make sure that your battery's in good shape. The next thing that you need to remember is to have good tread on your tires. And the last thing you want to do is come around here and pop your trunk and check your spare tire. Make sure it's got plenty of air in it. And you might even want to invest in one of these. It's a safety kit. It includes such items as jumper cables, an instant spare tire, some reflectors, and a few tools. And when you're packing for your trip, make sure that you put all your luggage in the trunk. And don't put anything of value out in plain sight. Now that you're on the road, there are several other safety tips that you need to remember. First of all, don't ever let your fuel gauge get below a quarter of a tank. If it does, then pull off the interstate at the closest and best lit gas station.
Major Taylor, it's your move here. I got to tell you, this is a scenario that probably everyone has thought about when they walk into their house and it's dark at night. To come down the hall down here and meet a burglar face to face, and I would imagine both the potential victim and the burglar are shocked.
Oh yeah, there's a big scare factor when they came face to face. The burglar's scared. He's notoriously a coward anyway. Of course she's scared. She's in her own home and somebody strange is there. My suggestion in this case is that she turn and run, leave the house.
What about screaming, making a ruckus, or threatening the burglar, or anything like that?
I would never threaten, but as far as screaming and making a lot of noise, yes. I mean, he's already scared. Her screaming's going to scare him worse, and we want him to leave the area too.
Major, I'm a pretty good sized guy, and if I see a burglar carrying out some of my possessions or things that are really precious to me, I might consider taking the burglar on to try to get that stuff back. Is that a good idea to even consider?
That's a personal decision, but what I would say to that is he's got your possessions, but he also may have a gun or a knife that you don't know about. And the thing that we're trying to get across here is you want to get out of these situations without getting hurt.
Bottom line?
Leave. Get out.
All right, Major Taylor, it's your move, and quite frankly, she's in a terrible spot here.
She is, Kelly. She has been inside, got her money out of the machine, come back outside, and she's caught. The guy's here with a gun. All she can do is throw her hands up. Hopefully that'll draw some attention from maybe a police officer driving down the street. he's going to say, give me your money, and she's going to give it to him. Because what she wants now is just to get out of this situation without getting hurt. Give him what he wants and let him get away from you.
We had a situation not too long ago when one of these victims was not willing to give up his money.
Kelly, we told a story about 3 months ago where a guy did the exact same thing, went inside, got his money, came out. 3 guys came up, started to rob him. He fought them. He lost his money, his billfold, and then got beat up. My best advice is at night, don't use these walk-ups. First thing you want to do, Kelly, when you pull up to one of these machines is pull up as close as possible so that nobody could slip in here between you. Keep your doors and windows locked, keep the car in gear, get your business done as quick as possible, and then drive off.
Major, it's your move. She's come out into a dark parking lot, and a lot of us have to do it. What should she do?
Okay, the first thing, Kelly, when she came out of the building here, she walked into a dark parking lot. She knows that there could be some danger out here. There's nobody else out here. She needs to be looking around to make sure that he's not hiding behind these mailboxes. He was. And she's got to be more alert when she gets out here, Kelly. By the time she got to here, it was too late. He already had the jump on her. First thing she's got to do is throw her arms up in the air. That alerts these people going down the street that she's in trouble.
Then her next move depends on what he wants.
Right. Does he want to rob her? If he does, give him the money. Give him your purse.
What if he indicates or she believes that he's going to hurt her?
The best thing to do then is take off screaming and running.
Let's say he's already got the jump on her and he says he's got a gun or a knife and he's forcing her into the car.
Okay, go ahead and get in the car. Get out on the busy streets so that there's other people around. Get their attention. If you got to wreck the van.
Whatever you do, you don't want him to get you to a remote spot.
Exactly.
Give me the money.
Major, it's your move, and she's really walked into a terrible situation here.
She has, Kelly. She left the pumps, walked right into the store, into that armed robbery, never paid any attention to what was going on out here in the parking lot, never looked inside before she went in. She just went in.
Now, once she's inside the store here, and she sees what's happening, she sees that there's an armed robbery going on, what's her next move?
Her next move is just to act like she didn't see anything and turn around in one fluid motion and go back out.
Should she turn around in a hurry and bolt out the door?
No, I'd never suggest that. First place, she doesn't know what kind of, if he's on drugs or if he's had some alcohol to drink, and if she startles him, then he could hurt somebody.
Okay, if he sees her, says freeze, stay right where you are.
Then freeze. You've got to do what he says. He's in control of the situation right now.
Major, what do you do if this robber orders you and the clerk to go back to the back room? We have these horrific images of people killed in the back room.
Right. Kelly, this is a place where you've got to let your instincts take over. If you think the guy's going to hurt you, then don't go back to the back room. But if you think the guy's just going to put you back here just to give him time to get away, then go ahead and cooperate with him. 99% of the time, nobody gets hurt in these robberies. Burglars are notorious cowards. They don't want you to be there when they break in. So when you leave, turn on a light and maybe a small radio or TV to make a little noise. So now that he's found out nobody's at home, he's going to try to come through his favorite target, the front door. But guess what? This homeowner's put on metal doors, deadbolt locks. He's not going to get in this door very easy. Let me show you his second target. Now the windows are the next target the burglar goes for, and this homeowner's got a little work to do. There's no screens, no storm windows, one little pane of glass that all he's got to do is bust, reach in, unlock it, and he's in your house. And there's something else with these windows that the homeowner has just got to get fixed. These locks, they're broken. They don't even work. All the burglar's got to do is raise the window up. And before the burglar even comes through this window, there's something on the outside of the house that he's going to take care of if you don't take care of it first. It's these phone lines. If the burglar cuts these, you don't have any way to call for help. They need to be covered on the side of the house and buried in the ground. Now while I'm down here, let me show you something else. Now the homeowner has done a good thing here. He hadn't planted any large shrubs in front of the windows. It doesn't give the burglar any place to hide. Now this homeowner's done a real good thing downstairs with no high shrubs in front of the windows, but he's also done a real good thing in his bedroom. As cheap as phones are anymore, you ought to have one in every room so that you can call for help if you need it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this house a little better than average, about a 6. The weak points, the windows, and the phone lines, they can both be fixed. But this homeowner's done an excellent job with the doors. Bob Taylor, News 9. The burglar's favorite way to get into your house has always been through the doors. Now you don't want a hollow core door like this one. What you need is a good solid metal door that makes it just that much harder for somebody to kick in. And just to make it a little more difficult, you can install a good deadbolt lock system right here. Let me show you what I mean. There's a couple of different things you can do to your doors. If you don't have 2 holes, one for a deadbolt lock, you can use what's called a reinforcer, which goes where the original door handle was and makes that area of the door just that much stronger. Now let's go look at deadbolt locks. If you've got a door with a wind in it, you don't want somebody to be able to just knock it out and reach through and unlock it. What you need is a double-keyed cylinder lock. If you've got a solid core door, all you need is a thumb latch. Now, if you want to go high-tech and spend a little more money, there's something down here you need to see. It's called a keyless entry system. 1 button locks it, 4 buttons unlock it. You don't even have to have a key to get in your house. Now, the second way burglars get into your house is through the windows. There's a couple of good ways that you can prevent that from happening. One is with what's called a groove lock. You can put that on the inside of the window here, lock it down, and it keeps the burglar from raising it up. Now the second thing you can get is a wireless alarm. For about $6, you can put this on your window, and if somebody raises it up, it sets off a loud alarm. Now that we've got the inside of the house secured, let's look at securing the outside with some motion detecting lights. Now there's a basic model that you can get for about $10 where if somebody walks up, the light will just go off. But for about $35, you can get this model that'll make the light go off outside and an alarm go off on the inside. Now on a nice shopping trip, we were able to take you and show you how to better protect your home for less than $150. Tomorrow night, I'm going to take you and show you some high-tech, high-dollar security systems that you got to see.
Warning, warning, intruder at the front door, warning.
Imagine being able to check on your security system from anywhere in the world with just a touch of a button. Well, the technology's here now. With audio and video and the use of your personal computer and the World Wide Web, you can check on your home from anywhere.
The system is called the Savoy system.
Warning, warning.
And the security part is the most important part of being able to fax a picture of the crook. When the alarm goes off, it'll take a snapshot and either email it or fax it to the local police department.
Intruder at the front door.
Oh, that's great. The quality's great. Now, say you don't have the use of a personal computer and you're out of town. Well, now they've got systems that work right off your touch-tone telephone.
You can hear on there the siren going off, and it will give you a voice message here in a few seconds.
Detected. Intrusion detected.
With this system, too, you can go ahead and talk to your system and communicate with it anywhere in the world by touch-tone phone.
Let's go one step further. What if the burglar has cut the phone lines?
This is a SafeCom unit, and this will go in a closet area inside your home. You'll have the antennas up in your attic that will communicate the data to our receivers, and thus when there's a burglar attempt or a fire, it's going to send all the signals to our central station through the long-range radio, and it has nothing to do with your telephone line.
We've looked at 3 different systems tonight. One that works off your personal computer and can be monitored from anywhere in the world. One that can be operated from a touch-tone telephone that you can actually check your alarm on the way home from work. One that works off a radio wave, so if a burglar cuts your phone lines, the system still works. I think with all this high technology, the burglars don't have a chance. Bob Taylor, News 9. Police and correction officials are telling us that there's 3 good reasons why crime is down right now. The first being that more and more repeat offenders are being put into prison. These people are responsible for about 50% of all crime. The second reason is police have started new units, gang units, to handle just gang crime. The third reason is the media's role. They not only show you where and how crimes are happening, but they also tell you how to protect yourself. A big percentage of the stolen cars end up right here in the junkyard. And you want to know why? Because when the thieves get through with your car, there's not going to be enough left to take home. Now the most popular car to steal is the Honda Accord. It used to be for many years that the Oldsmobile Cutlass was the easiest. But once the thieves found out how easy it was to steal the Honda, then they had a new target. And this is all they needed. With just one touch of the screwdriver in a certain area on the window, and the door pops right open, and they're in your car. Then they can jam that screwdriver into your steering column, and the car will start right up. In a matter of seconds, they're driving off in your car, and they didn't have to break anything. Now with the Oldsmobile Cutlass, that's a little different story. The thief usually has to do some kind of damage, maybe with a tire iron. He could use this to bust open the window, or this end to pry open the glass so he can reach in and unlock your doors. And then after he's broken into the car, he's still got to break a little piece off this steering column right here to get the car started. So he's already caused a lot of damage before he's even driven off in your stolen car. The next most popular vehicle to steal is the GMC pickup, and it's just as easy to steal as the GMC Cutlass. Just break a window, bust a piece off the column here, in just a few seconds they're driving away. The #1 reason cars are stolen is easy: kids joyriding. They'll steal them, take them for a couple of days, run them out of gas, and then when they're through with them, they just dump them. The second reason cars are stolen is for the parts. They're worth about 10 times as much when they're disassembled as to when they were all together. And the third reason that some of these cars are being stolen is they're ending up south of the border in Mexico, and they're never seen again. Car theft puts a burden on you, your insurance company, and the police. Join me tomorrow night, and I'll show you some simple ways to put the brakes on car thieves. Bob Taylor, News 9. You can spend as little or as much as you want to in car protection, but the most important thing you want to remember is to make your car harder to steal than somebody else's. Now let me show you some devices to do just that. First of all, you've all heard of the club. Well, you can pick up one of those from anywhere from $20 to $60. Then you've got a kill switch for about $10. Then you've got a column protecting device for about $50. Now let me show you how easy it is to put this stuff on.
First of all, something like this, kill switch,
switch. You just have to do a little bit of work inside the car, a little bit of work under the hood, and let's see here. All you have to do is hook it up to the line that feeds power to the ignition coil, and it'll shut off the ignition system completely. All right, Bob, let me show you how easy it is to install this club. First of all, you can carry it in the vehicle next to you or behind the seat. Just slip it up, put one side in, stretch it out, put the other side in, locks in place, the vehicle can't be driven. What the collar does is it prevents somebody from breaking out the side of the steering column and activating the ignition switch. It's a fairly new item that's come out in recent years. It's in several different sizes and styles. We've got some to fit most of the GM cars. This particular one installs very quickly and easily. It just slips right into place, and it will prevent somebody from taking out this side or putting the vehicle in gear.
Some real simple solutions to keeping your car from getting stolen are: don't ever leave your keys in the car. Always lock your doors. And if at all possible, when you're at home, use your garage. That's what it's for. Bob Taylor, News 9. Detective P.J. Allen and I are playing hide and seek with a LoJack-equipped car and the Dallas police. But we quickly learn it's a losing game. The LoJack tracker tells an officer the direction he should travel and how far he has to go. 2 minutes and we're bagged. The eyes in the sky have nabbed us. 6 minutes later, the ground units have surrounded our car. What's the recovery rate in Dallas with and without LoJack?
Well, if this car was not equipped with LoJack, there's probably a 69% chance we would have recovered this vehicle. However, with LoJack in the vehicle, the chances are about 95% that we would recover the car.
It may replace.
Now, Major, these folks have put themselves in a dangerous situation.
They really have, Kelly. They got out of bed and went to confront this burglar, which they never should have done. My advice in these situations is stay in bed. Always have a telephone next to the bed. Just reach over and pick it up. Dial 911. Tell the police officers, hey, we've got somebody in the house. Put it back down and then act like you're asleep.
What about if you have a weapon in the bedroom for something just like this?
Well, say in the drawer. My advice on that is not to pull it out and go after the burglar, because if you're not trained in using a gun, and you don't know that you can pull the trigger, he may take it away from you and hurt you with it.
go to the right.
I'll push it. I'm gonna go read for a little bit. You guys go ahead and swing.
Hey, if you help me find my dog, I'll give you some candy.
Bob, really there are two issues that need to be addressed here, and the first is the child's reaction to the stranger.
Right, Kelly. Today's kids have to be trained on things that they must do if they get out in these parks and get in situations where they're approached by strangers. It doesn't make any difference if it's in a park, a store, a parking lot. If a stranger approaches one of these kids, they've got to know to start yelling for mommy or daddy. You know, Kelly, 20 years ago, a mother could have brought her kids to this park, sat down and read a book, not worried a thing about them. But you can't do that anymore. It's just a sign of the times. She cannot take her eyes off her kids anymore because within a second, one of these attackers could have the kid in a van and be gone just like that.
No doubt the neighbors know when Colton Williams and his band DPK are jamming. Their sound is still a little raw. But they're cooking up some big plans. Colton is a little bit of an operator. He told a local music store owner that News 9 was coming out to shoot his band, and he managed to wrangle some free equipment in exchange for some free advertising. Note the matching t-shirts and bumper stickers plastered all over the room. At 14, Colton Williams is dreaming of the big time. His parents are trying to keep him firmly on the ground.
Come home, stay home till 5, study.
You have to stay home every day till 5 to study?
Yeah, study.
Whose rule is that?
Yeah, that's my dad's. First, I guess I got to concentrate on school so I can have time to, be with my band.
What are you doing?
Colton's grades slipped a little last semester. He says they're better now, no D's or F's. Colton is plenty bright, he's articulate and funny. And at 14, he has been through a lot. His mother died of brain cancer 3 years ago, and now he worries about his grandmother, also battling cancer. She really means a lot to you, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does now because, that's all I've got of my mom pretty much.
He says he admires and respects his father and his stepmother. Colton says he doesn't do drugs, and like a lot of boys at 14, he's still trying to figure out girls and sex.
The females kind of control that, as far as I can tell.
And when I asked him if the world would be a better place when his generation is in charge, he rolled his eyes. This day started like most for Midwest City freshman Marcus Williams, but it wouldn't end that way. Though surrounded by friends and busy with school and sports, since August there has been a hole in Marcus's life.
I love my dad a lot, and I haven't seen him for 6 months, and it was just horrible.
His dad, a master sergeant in the Air Force, has been overseas in Korea. It's been hard for everybody. He missed Marcus's basketball games, and before that, his football games. Mom Deborah has been pulling double duty. She and Marcus have grown closer than ever.
Me, my mom, and dad, we go to church, and we love God, and we just believe in each other,
Marcus Williams is one of those kids it's hard not to like. He is a talented athlete, a good student. He has an infectious grin, and he is very polite, every sentence peppered with yes sirs and no sirs. But all that doesn't make him immune to the rigors of being a 14-year-old. Added responsibilities?
Oh, man.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for my notebook folder. It's got my homework in it.
The mysteries about the opposite sex.
Why they so bossy and stuff like that.
And drugs and alcohol.
I don't do none of that, none of that bad stuff,
Marcus is a reflection of this man, his dad, Walt Williams. Wednesday, Walt came home from Korea early and surprised Marcus at school. It was Christmas in February for Marcus. His dad will only be home a few weeks, then it's overseas for a while longer. But their bond is strong enough to span an ocean.
Like I said, we're real close. Sometimes I think he forgets I'm his dad. I think I'm his best friend in all ways. But that's the way Marcus is.
If dogs are man's best friend,
I really feel like most dogs just kind of live to please you.
Then what are cats?
Now cats, they could care less. They're kind of out for themselves. If you don't believe it, next time you go home, throw your shoe across the floor and tell the cat to go get it. And watch the look you get.
Where's the dog?
Yeah, oh yeah, man, I'm on it for you, buddy. What can I do? Let's play some ball. That's great. Okay, I'll go get it 400 times. You throw the ball 1,000,000 times, the dog brings it back. Cat's sitting there going, you stupid.
Cats are just different, aren't they?
Cats are not little dogs.
The big difference might surprise you.
The main thing that distinguishes them from dogs is their owners. You have to be a different person to love and care for a kitty, because kitties are reserved, most of them really laid back, and do not come running and loving you at a moment's notice.
Cats are awfully independent. They don't mind letting you in on their fun, but they want you to know it was their idea. Since they tend to be standoffish and always do their own thing, they are often misunderstood.
Cece, look what I got. The main problems that people have with their kitties is that they don't understand the behavior of cats. They don't understand that kitties scratch on furniture and scratch things because that's a basic need of theirs, to groom their claws and exercise. The other behavioral problem that kitties have in the view of people is breaking litter box training. Cleaning a litter box is the #1 thing in keeping a kitty using it.
As finicky as felines can be, there is just something special about a cat.
Cats really changed my life. They're just fascinating to me.
What they think about while doing all that fascinating stuff, though, remains a mystery for the ages. Randy Renner, Newsline 9. We call them man's best friend. But what do we know about them, really?
There's no always or nevers. There's a lot of gray.
And that could give you a lot of gray hairs, wondering what's going on inside that furry head.
The dog was licking your face. Does that automatically tell you that the dog just loves people or loves you, or is it maybe something that you've just eaten or the cologne that you're wearing?
Well, it could be one of all three. In my case, I think it was the chili dog.
It's also a sign of affection, of course. Most dogs are very social. They like people and will do almost anything for you.
Dogs are funny. Dogs are funny. But I really feel like most dogs just kind of live to please you. They really do.
So if that changes, it means trouble.
If you have a very well house-trained dog or cat and all of a sudden they begin urinating or defecating in the house or some other change like that, the first thing to do is for people to take the pet to their veterinarian and determine if there is in fact maybe some kind of a medical problem going on.
Now, sometimes that problem is caused by food. The worst thing we can do to our pets is treat them like they're one of us.
The best thing that you can do for pets is to remember that they're not little human beings in fur coats. They are dogs and cats. Dogs and cats do not need a great deal of variety in their diet. As a matter of fact, many times variety in the diet is very detrimental.
Most times it's pretty easy to figure out if a dog is happy or sad, hungry or full, but as far as what it's thinking, your guess is as good as ours.
I don't know. I guess they think about, I was gonna say if it smells good, I'll eat it, but I don't know. I don't think that's it either, because a lot of stuff they eat I know doesn't smell good, and that brings up a whole different behavior problem, which we won't even get into.
You know what they say? The reason dogs do what they do is because they can. Randy Renner, Newsline 9.
Nothing like traveling light, and that's what most Americans are doing this year because of the economy. Most are taking a vacation, but they're staying closer to home. We stayed in Alva, a city with good motels and wonderful restaurants, and the best hospitality you'll find anywhere, the home of the Cherokee Strip Museum. Alva is also within easy driving distance of our three targets. The first, the Alabaster Caverns in Freedom, Oklahoma. The state park charges $4 for adults and $2 for kids to see the impressive natural wonder. We followed a group of Enid students on tour. Now take this tour on the hottest day because the caverns stay at a pleasant 50 degrees. But whenever you go, it's an excellent opportunity to ask questions and learn.
This is where Mr. Grass thought that the Indians might have been able to camp out, although no Indian artifacts have been found in the big cave itself.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Who changes all the light bulbs? Okay, so you see, without alabaster, there wouldn't be any fancy soap dishes, bookends, ashtrays. In fact, entire countries wouldn't have any souvenirs to sell.
But nobody touches the alabaster in this cavern. It's protected by the state. Now, if you're even more adventurous, hike across a canyon to see a natural bridge. It's a fun day at little expense, $8 for a family of 4.
Now, you can save a couple of dollars by eating a meal or two in the room. Maybe lunch, maybe breakfast, or maybe both, and save your money for dinner. Okay, who had the peanut butter and pastrami?
Our next side trip was east of Alva to the Great Salt Plains. This park is the site of another natural phenomenon, an area where crystals form and people come from all over to dig them up free of charge. This couple from northeast of Tulsa had no idea Oklahoma had such a place.
I wish I'd brought my children. I felt like a child out there making mud pies. You know, you dig up the dirt and kind of take your fingers through it and feel. It was fun.
Bring your own shovel, but it's easy to find the crystals, and it keeps the kids busy for hours.
You know, they say there's some magic crystals in those holes, so keep on digging, and it'll be my turn in just a minute.
Those who don't dig crystals might dig the excellent fishing in the lake. Then we were off to our next destination, Little Sahara State Park.
Now, if your spouse is just back from the Persian Gulf, they'll feel right at home at this park until they see... Now, you have to bring your own buggy to the park. If you don't have one, many people will be glad to give you a ride that you'll never forget. Now here's our Alva area bottom line. Hotel 2 nights, $58. Meals, $60. Gas, $20. And entertainment, only $8 for a total of $148.
Yeah, we'll get some realism in it.
Nancy Russell is hammering away at a dream she didn't realize she had.
This is a buffalo, large buffalo.
Until her husband handed her the means to make it come true.
He handed me his pocket knife and just said, well, whittle on your walking stick. This is my most important set of tools.
She came back with a product that I thought was just, you know, really amazing for the first time especially. And she sold it at a pretty good price.
Nancy Russell originals have been selling as fast as she can turn them out ever since.
I just found it was the most fun and unique challenge I think that I had ever attempted, and I loved it instantly.
With hard work and a craftsman's touch, Nancy turns a stump into a statue, a piece of driftwood into a dove.
Just anything that comes to mind. The ideas aren't the problem. Time is the problem. But sometimes I'll find a wonderful piece of wood, and I'll look at it and try to find the right figure in the wood.
Deep inside every piece of wood is a hidden treasure, a a treasure that Nancy Russell usually finds. With the spirit of Oklahoma in Guthrie, I'm Randy Ray, News 9.
It stood empty for half a century. Now, the weather-worn walls of Guthrie's train station echo with the sounds of new construction. The station first opened in 1903, its restaurant usually filled with hungry passengers.
All right, tell me what the train station was like.
Well, it was the center of the town. It was put in before statehood. A lot of people rode in on the train.
Margaret Lenhart was born at the station in a room upstairs. Her father managed the restaurant. Her mother was a waitress. But in the 1950s, the trains stopped running. The station closed its doors.
Does it make you feel sad to come back to the place where you were born?
No, I think it's a revival. And that the fact that it's going to be refurnished like it was originally, and it will be of interest to not only Guthrie, but to Oklahoma and the nation.
One board at a time, the rebuilding of a major piece of Guthrie's history has begun.
In about 8 months, this room will be filled with tables and chairs, tourists and families who, for the first time in about 50 years, will be able to look out this doorway and be taken back to a time when passenger trains were more common on these tracks than passenger cars.
In the spirit of Oklahoma, Julie Dyson, News 9.
Didn't get my property, but it got pretty much everybody around me, and I just want to make sure everything's good and wet.
Kathy Davis isn't just watering her lawn. She's protecting her house.
With all the dry weather we've had, I don't want to have a repeat of last year.
Last year, the flames didn't get Kathy's property, but just a couple doors away, they burned a neighbor's home down to the ground. The damage could have been a lot worse, but this man saw to it that the flames wouldn't wipe out his street. So you have this huge wall of fire coming at your house, and all you have is what?
Well, all I had is 2 garden hoses to fight it with, and the pressure was so low, I was lucky to even do what I did.
With the help of his son, Robert Morris says he saved 3 homes that day. The man officially in charge of fighting the fire was this man, Assistant Fire Chief Doug King. Today, there's still one thing that bothers him the most about that fire.
That fire was started by an arsonist, and a year later, the weather is dry, the winds are high, and that subject's still out there running around.
After last year's fire, the city felt it needed better equipment, so it invested heavily in 2 brand new brush trucks and 20 sets of gear specifically designed to fight wildfires. Now, nobody wants a repeat of last year, but if there is, the fire department is confident it is better equipped to handle the situation. In Newcastle, Bill Cook, News 9.
And don't forget that broken leg, courtesy of a bull. Tough life for a high school senior.
How are the young ladies up at Stillwater? Do they like rodeo men?
It seems like the ones I talk to, most of them don't know a lot about rodeo, but when you find one that does, it's usually pretty welcome.
The McCoys take injuries and celebrity all in stride.
This is the history of the real McCoys.
This is the beginning. That's pretty much where it all started right there.
They've been at this too long. All their lives, the McCoys have been rodeoing and competing against each other.
You know, we really didn't look at the other contestants around. We always had to ride home with each other, and I think it made us a lot better.
Years of competition add up to fame that reaches beyond the McCoys' Tupelo home. Recently, Sports Illustrated ran a profile of the brothers.
It was a Sunday baseball camp like this one where OCU coaches first started recruiting young Josh Carney years ago, a player they say had real passion for baseball.
Remember now, don't float out to it. Stay strong in your base.
We were practicing, and he was diving for balls and just routine ground balls, just taking fungos.
Today, in spite of their grief over Josh's death, the coaches and players went ahead with their Sunday camp.
And these camps are part of the therapy, I guess.
And they'll give the money the camp raises to Josh's family for his funeral.
It might have been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Tell the team last night that he had died.
Today, the players and coaches also met with Josh's sisters, and that's when their pain became more real.
These guys are like sons to us. I lost a son. Oh.
Together, they'll get through this grief, and they'll go on, more than ever, as a team.
We've got to make something good out of this. Something good's got to happen. Something positive for this ball club and this program and these young men in their lives.
Rolling through Perkins on Highway 177, you can still find ghost stories back from an era when this town was tamed by a legendary quick-draw artist and deadly marksman and his twin Colt 45s. His real name was Francis, but everyone called this lawman Pistol Pete.
Gary, I want to show you some of these artifacts that David has on display here.
His daughter Elizabeth showed us around his spot in the Perkins Museum.
Try lifting that gun. I think you'll find it's pretty heavy.
This is Pistol Pete's rifle, right?
Yes.
Looks like he put some notches in the barrel.
Yes. He was shooting at the man who killed his father.
And did he get him with this?
Mm-hmm.
Frank was a deputy U.S. Marshal, very colorful, very friendly, super guy.
He was also the straightest shooter anyone ever saw. Outlaws didn't challenge him, but once a stranger did.
And he said, Frank, I'll give you $5, you'll put a hole in my hat. That was a new white Stetson hat. So he took the hat off and threw it in the air, and Dad drew and shot twice and put 4 holes in the crown of that hat.
So you're probably wondering how old Pistol Pete ever became the mascot for Oklahoma State University. Well, way back when, OSU called themselves the Tigers, but they hated the stripes and they thought the image was all wrong. But one day some university fathers were in town to catch an Armistice Day parade, and they saw old Pistol Pete on horseback leading that parade, complete with his Colt 45s and his big old hat, and they fell in love instantly. They said, gentlemen, that is the new image for our university, the ultimate cowboy. And Pistol Pete loved it too. He wore the holster and the star until his big ride into the sunset at age 97.
He didn't want us crying when he died.
I think some of his philosophies and his stories and his manner and the statue that he set kind of made a code for a lot of people that in my day.
I think his legend will live on and on and on.
In Perkins, Gary Horker, News 9. The old dirt road doesn't look historic. As a matter of fact, you look at an Oklahoma map and this place has no name. But let's go back in time to 1927. This was the wildest, most wicked oil boomtown in the whole state. A huge gusher made a poor farmer a millionaire overnight, and people flocked in here from everywhere looking for work. The town just couldn't be built up fast enough, and the oil company dubbed this little town Roxana.
And as I understand it, Roxana was the name of Alexander the Great's wife, and Roxana means dawn of a new day.
For every guy looking for a steady paycheck, there was a bootlegger and a prostitute looking for business.
On paydays at the plant, the prostitutes would line up at the gate to the plant, and when the guys got paid and came off, the prostitutes would meet them there.
Roxana became notorious for bootleg liquor, and when a gangster was gunned down by the sheriff, everyone knew where Roxana was.
You know, there was no jail. In a lot of these boom towns, there were no jails. They would just end up chaining people to a post because they didn't have any place to lock them up.
Only 3 years after Roxana was born, the refinery exploded, the gushers ran dry, and folks packed up and left. You know, even if you drive up to this area and get out of your car and search on foot, it's hard to find even a clue that this place was any kind of an oil boomtown that employed hundreds of people and made even more than that rich, save for some of these old pump jacks here and there sucking what little oil there is left under this ground. But take some time and look around, because you'll find some little bits and pieces of rubble that'll tell you a story. Like where we are right now was at one time a boomtown schoolhouse, and you know what? This is all that's left of it. From dust to boomtown to dust again, today Roxana's only a memory. In Logan County, Gary Horker, News 9. These days, very few call Ingalls their home address, but when you see these ancient abandoned buildings, you'll understand the legend. One of the bloodiest, fiercest shootouts in the Old West happened right here. You see, the infamous Dalton Doolin gang of outlaws lived here in Ingalls when they weren't robbing trains and banks. So on a cool fall morning back in 1893, a posse of marshals rolled into town in covered wagons disguised as settlers to ambush and wipe out the gang. But the gang was warned by a lookout, and they were ready. Marshals surrounded the saloon and the hotel, but upstairs an outlaw named Arkansas Tom rained bullets down on the posse from a Winchester and a hole in the window. Men down at the bar and on the street were hit. Doctors tended the wounded, while both sides blasted the town to pieces. Within about an hour, it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, the shadows in Ingalls started to get just a little shorter, but by then this whole gunfight was over. And before it was over, 5 people lay dead around here, 3 U.S. Marshals, a kid just walking by, and at least 1 outlaw. But the rest of the Dalton Doolin gang, well, they mounted their horses back at the livery stable and rode out of town, never to be seen in Ingalls again. When the word about this bloody fray got out, the United States government put a huge price on every one of the gang members' heads. Arkansas Tom was the only outlaw captured that day, but the lawmen who lost their lives here broke up the band of robbers, and Ingalls has been quiet ever since. In Ingalls, Gary Horker, News 9.